While I generally increased the level of complexity for each mission, in my previous session I actually took a step back and decided just to see how an English learning player would react if there was nothing but virtual space around him. No scenes, no rocks, no trees, no geographies, and I would ask him for the names of objects or just to describe them. It was really going back to basics and slowly increasing the level of complexity. In the same session, I also tested two new features. The first one is English only. So unlike previous sessions, I didn't turn to Hebrew at all. No translations to the player were offered whatsoever. If a player wanted to stop and to translate something, he would just simply use Google Translate. The second feature is using text. This adds an element of reading and writing to the adventure. Now, text is actually very important because it's used to describe actions that you can't do through the game. For instance, if you crawl through the game, I see you crawl. The game lets you do that. But say you want to puncture a tire. That's a bit too specific for the game, so players would need to describe their actions, which they can't physically do in the game. That's actually a common practice in role-playing communities, and this learning method is heavily based on role-playing, so that's why I chose to include it. Now, decreasing the level of complexity allowed me to strip the language learning method to bare bones and to see how those features work independently of all the noise. And by noise, I mean distractions. Playing with my dad, for instance, there was a lot of distractions going around. He was chasing after the enemy, and I had to reel him back in several times, and I felt like we were losing the plot a bit too much.
What will happen? It's here.
Leave him, he ran away, leave him. While I like improvisations and things that happen randomly, which they certainly do with certain AI behavior, I felt like this was a bit going overboard and we definitely lost the plot. So after we did that, I wanted to increase the level of complexity again. The player was struggling with the controls, but if he wanted to have exciting adventures, he has to learn how to move around. So I wanted him to repeat my actions. Eventually, and much to my relief, he got the hang of it. I posted a 6 minutes video clip of that, and the player sent me a message like 30 minutes after we finished the session that he enjoyed it. That's how you know that the person really enjoyed something, if they text you back like within less than an hour after it ended. The next adventure will increase significantly the level of complexity. It will be the most complex session yet. I worked on it for a while to get the right geography, the lighting, the scenes and objects, and unlike previous adventures, it will include allies. It should play out next week.